Right, good evening, everybody. Episode 44 of the No Punches Pulled podcast with myself, JFT, and Liam Tully is here with you. Stacked week of boxing to come. Jay, Liam, how's tricks, boys?
Sweating.
Yeah, it's quite warm.
And I'm on a hosepipe ban, apparently. Yorkshire here now.
Are you? Oh.
Yeah, you can catch JFT washing his car, filling his swimming pool, and watering his plants. Catch me if you can, bitches. I pay my water rates. I out on a water meter. Fuck off. Yeah, but no, I'm good, brother. Ready for some debate.
Absolutely. Liam?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. No hosepipe ban down here yet, but we're sure we'll get there.
It's coming. It's coming.
It'll be coming. End of this week, we'll probably have it. But
It's
now,
working
all
its
good,
way
mate.
down south.
Hopefully, after a bit of a dire start to a busy month, we're going to get some fights this weekend that actually live up to what we're expecting. But I suppose when you looked at July, Catterall Eubank was always the one you went, that could stink out.
We don't mention that, mate. We don't mention those two swear words anymore on here. We forgot about what happened last week. We're talking about the future.
Short-term memory, mate. Goldfish.
You're living in the past, Liam, man. You need to come to the future, man. Stop living in dwelling on the past.
Right then, so we got Taylor Serrano 3 on Friday night with a stacked all-female card live on Netflix. MVP, of course, made all the signings. Chantel Cameron, Savannah Marshall, Ellie Scottney from the UK, but Baumgardner and many others. Shane Metcalf's fighting Shanika Johnson that we just spoke about off camera. It's a very good card. Then you got Ring 3 on Saturday night. Berlanga Sheeraz is a banger for the main event. Then you got Shakur Zepeda finally getting it on in the co-main. Morel against Katiev is a quality fight on the undercard as well. Matias Puello, that's really interesting. Can Puello box in like Liam Paro did, or Matias cut him down and stop him? We'll start on chronological order then, boys. We'll start in New York, MSG. The venue, of course, for the first Taylor Serrano fight. It's going to be the venue for the trilogy as well. Record-breaking purses, record-breaking viewership expected to be had, obviously, with so many millions of households having access to Netflix. We'll leave the main event for a little bit. We'll kick off on the undercard. Is there anything in particular that stands out? Yes, Yem's big up. They just signed Ebony Bridges as well. I didn't know that. So
I couldn't give less of a shit if I tried. I really couldn't.
Ebony broke, isn't it?
Oh, fuck off, man. Fuck off. I couldn't stand her before, but now she's got a kid to Cal Brook. She fucking grates me, man.
She got a babby to babby.
She got a mini chocolate brownie. Look, it's a great card, irrespective of what we all think of the guy that is at the head of the promotion. Can I just say that Matchroom's logo looks more like MVPs than fucking Top Rank? Now I've had a proper look.
Evening, Pat. Hope you're well, mate. Good to see you.
Evening. I'm excited to see Savannah Marshall, Chantel Cameron. You know, I've got British bias, but it's good to see both of those back in meaningful fights. I think one's in for an interim title, one's in for a unification match. We've got world titles from top to bottom. Now, look, there's not many male cards or mixed cards that are like this, as stacked with names and world champions. So credit to MVP. I think the downside to cards like this is we get spoiled. The fighters get spoiled. They have an unrealistic expectation of what they're worth. And when Jake Paul drops them, when he finally gets leveled at cruiserweight by one of the top 20 and backs off, and the hunger for it's not there, then some of these girls might see themselves cast aside. But look, I'm looking way too far into the future. Ultimately, it's a really good card. There's something for everybody on that card. Be it, probably the best all-female card there's ever been. I mean, I know there hasn't been many, and I'm not taking the piss, but it's got to be up there, head and shoulders above any of the other female cards that haven't got anywhere near this. I am really looking forward to it.
Yeah, you've said it. It's a stacked card. 8-fight card, 6 fights are either for world titles or interim world titles. We never get that for male boxing cards. And yes, okay, it's easier to do it with female cards and what MVP have decided to do by monopolizing the market by overpaying. It doesn't matter. They've done it and we're getting this card. I mean, if we got 4 of these fights in a month from separate cards, we'd probably be quite happy, wouldn't we? Instead, we're going to get it in one night. It says it all that Chantel Cameron is going to be on YouTube before it goes live on Netflix at 1 a.m. UK time. That says it all about this card. I think I've seen Savannah Marshall is as well. They're doing 4 and 4, and if that's the case, you've got an interim world title and a unified 2-belt.
Yeah.
So is it not
Marshall against Green's one of the best? Like more.
Well, so do I. So is the running order not as per the poster then?
It doesn't look like it because I've seen a Netflix.
Savannah's up near the top.
Yeah,
I've seen a Netflix running order which has the
Baumgartner's the co-main, I think. Is she?
Yeah, Baumgartner's co-main. So I've seen a Netflix running order that's the 8-round middleweight fight across 3 minutes. Ramla Ali, Chantel Cameron, and Savannah Marshall on YouTube, and then you've got the other 4 fights starting with Sharika Johnson and Metcalf on Netflix. So they're doing it, mate. Look, you can't complain because you're watching fights on YouTube from 11 p.m. our time, or from 1 a.m. you've got world title action. It's fantastic.
It's all right. It's unreal, but there's no Spanish fighters on it I am watching. Inside joke there, boys.
Big up the comments. Big up the comments.
It's one of those, isn't it, where we know why we're getting this card because of what MVP and Jake Paul have decided to do, and we know long term, like you've just hinted at, Jay, mate, it's not sustainable, and we know, unfortunately, some of these fighters may be one and done if they don't deliver, if they don't do the numbers for Netflix, if they're not doing the social media clicks, which we know MVP relies on more than other promotions. This could be their one shot. Go on.
Sorry, I was just going to say, just speaking on one and done, if we take the headline fights on the main event, we take Taylor Serrano out of it, that fight's not happening, this card struggles.
Yeah.
As stacked as it is, right, for people like ourselves that will watch pretty much any fights, barring a few of the dodgy Channel 5 ones, but we probably still watch. Liam attends and we do watch a lot. But what I mean is, there's a massive gulf in fandom for the fighters. They've all got their own niches. You know, we're all fans of some of the fighters on there. I'm a fan of Savannah Marshall. Johnson, I like. Torsland, I liked as well. You know, Cameron. So they've all got their followings. But if you had that card without the main event on it, we would probably not be having such an excitable conversation as we're having now. And I don't think the hunger would be there for it.
No. It's made by the main event. But as we'll probably come on to in a minute, the elephant in the room is, do we need to be seeing a trilogy of the main event? Not with the score at 2-0, no. But again, Jake Paul, more money than sense. He's just thrown money at the situation.
Let's get into it, Liam. Let's get into the main event.
Well, it's Canelo Triple G, isn't it?
Yeah.
Regardless of what the records and the results are, certain people believe that Katie Taylor lost the first or the second. Or, do you know, there's
some
questions.
Lost both.
Yeah. What I mean is there are questions over the decisions. That it's not a cut and dry 2-0.
Yeah,
it's not Usyk Fury, is it, or Usyk Joshua, where they were conclusive wins. But still, my appetite isn't really there for the third fight.
Yeah. Well, Jay, hold that thought a second. Sorry, mate. On that subject, Pat mentioned it, and now big up to Jams at Red Corner Boxing for joining us.
Jams. Evening, Pat.
They both said that ticket sales are struggling. MSG, I haven't looked myself, but obviously they're both saying it, and obviously it's struggling. So that kind of backs the point up.
And that's what I'm saying, right? Take the headline fight away, right? A lot of those girls that are on the fight, that are on the card, would struggle to sell out the Copper Box or probably the Crucible in Sheffield, which holds maybe 1,500, 2,000. I'm not having a dig, right? This is not a dig. It's the same as, let's use women's football as an analogy, right? You go watch Arsenal-Liverpool at the Emirates, 65,000 or whatever it holds. Arsenal-Liverpool women might get 35, 40, lot. I know I'm stretching it a bit, but I'm trying not to be disparaging about it. They are very good, and they have a following. The following's not the same. So as stacked as this card is, the appetite's not there from the casual boxing fan. So the true, not saying that they're not true boxing fans, but the hardcores like ourselves are going to be glued and we're going to be watching it. But the likes of my missus who would watch Usyk Dubois or Joshua Fury is not going to sit up.
Household name value outside of the main event.
She's not going to watch Shanika Johnson and Jay Metcalf. She's not interested, and a lot of people are not interested, unfortunately.
The one thing in their defence, sorry, Liam, and I'll pass over to an MVP and Jake Paul's defence and stuff. American ticket sales tend to go on fight week a lot as well. So, I guess, we can withhold it a little bit until fight night.
Yeah, I guess that was going to be one of my two caveats. One is it's an American fight. We know they do a lot of walk-up sales on fight week. People will see what's going on around. I've just seen what they've got going on in the shopping mall today for the open workout. That will draw some eyeballs in. But the reality is you take away the main event, as we've said, this goes in the theatre rather than the big room.
Absolutely.
That's the reality. The only reason they're going to the big room is because of two fighters in the main event. And look, maximize what you've got. But from what I've seen from having a look on Ticketmaster and as other people have said, what they're doing with ticket sales, they're going to need, half of downtown New York to decide to buy a ticket at this rate to make it look relatively decent in there.
They've got the old, so for the card on Saturday night, Berlanga's doing the old, I'm giving out free tickets to cops and kids, man. Yeah. Cops and kids. Bring your dad. Fuck off, man. It's not selling out.
Look, it's a fair point, Jake. Do you know what? Like, both cards have got good names on them and there's good fights on both cards, but Edgar Berlanga and Sheeraz is a headline. And with the greatest respect, Berlanga's from New York. And he's not a big star in New York, and Hamzah Sheeraz is a Brit coming over. It's not going to sell massive numbers. Katie Taylor and Serrano 3, as Pat said there, I think there's not as much, and Jay, I think you just said it a minute ago, there's not as much of a thirst for the trilogy than there was maybe the rematch, because it's 2-0 to Taylor. We've seen it. I'll withhold our judgment because we'll do predictions this week. It's a big fight. But Yem thinks Serrano.
Absolutely not. I'll take that bet, Yem.
Stop Katie Taylor this time. Jams have been blocked by Amanda Serrano on X for saying it's struggling, so maybe he touched the nerve.
Shields did that to me for saying something like that. Something really petty.
This is the thing, mate, isn't it? I think, look, people love a narrative. People love an audience. So if a rivalry's 1-1 going into it, this would have sold better. The Usyk Dubois ticket sales have done well based off of the fact there was a low blow. Let's be honest, because you can't sell that rematch next weekend off the fact it was 8-0 Usyk before he stopped Dubois. You bring the low blow into it, it's attracted casuals, and it's done by the looks of it 75,000 at Wembley, which isn't to be sniffed at in the grand scheme of things.
It's not Frochgroves.
It's not Frochgroves. Carl will be happy. This time. But that's the point. The fact this is 2-0, and the majority of the people that know boxing would agree that it's 2-0 to Katie Taylor. There's not that thirst there for it because, like you say, we'll do predictions later in the week, but Amanda Serrano needs to do something.
MVP just digging into their pocket to buy a win for Serrano, Liam.
Do you know what I think they should have done? They should have had Chavez Jr. and Jake as the headline. That's what they should have done and brought. I know, but they should have brought them together, and it would have been a bigger show. Whereas now, I'm not gonna go as far as to say it feels flat. But I don't feel as excited as I thought I would do in the build-up because I've seen how poor it's doing in terms of ticket sales, and I've seen the generic Netflix advert. But other than that, it's not getting well marketed.
They've got a countdown show. They've got a countdown show that came out last night, and I watched it.
Jams, 80K. No way.
I watched the countdown show earlier, and if you haven't watched it, guys, give it a miss because it's just a propaganda machine for MVP trying to say that Serrano's been robbed twice. We knew that anyway, but they've done a 45-minute documentary which is meant to be a bit like HBO 24/7.
That's alleged, Jams. Nobody knows that.
But it's nothing like that. It's just, unfortunately, Serrano moaning that she's lost both times, Jake Paul saying the same. Yeah, the narrative is tiresome because it started, didn't it? It's in the ring after the fight in November, and it's carried on now all the way through.
Eddie Holmes giving it stacks, wasn't he? To be fair, I actually quite enjoyed watching that. Eddie giving it stacks to Nikisa and.
You reckon he'll get stacks again Friday night when it's 3-0?
He probably will. He'll be there, won't he? He'll be there, and he'll be at the ring cards about half an hour away, I think.
He's promoted at least half this card at some point.
That's correct.
I wonder if Ben will be there. Do you think Mr. Shalom will be there?
Well,
is he involved with Savannah Marshall still and Chantel Cameron?
No, she's left for MVP.
She gone for MVP,
yeah.
Savannah
left as soon as she wasn't put on the Albert Hall card after they made her go down for that press conference, and she was just
Yeah, that was right, allegedly. Katie said she doesn't need MVP. Look, Katie Taylor's milking MVP for the money. That's all she cares about.
Sorry, Jams, I don't know what you mean by that. Him getting arrested doesn't mean that the promotion knew he was wanted to be deported. They're two separate things. But anyway.
Katie said she does not need MVP in Serrano's who need her. And that is, yeah, definitely. She's just milking them for all their...
didn't do it at Croke. I don't know why they hadn't given her a send-off at home.
It's hard to get the approval at Croke.
Yeah, but all right then. So the Aviva then they could have got the approval somewhere.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah. Yes, Luca. Thank you, well, mate.
Luca.
I'll get up for Taylor Serrano. I'm not that interested in the undercard. I agree. Marshall Green's probably either that or Shanika Johnson against Shea Metcalf.
I think Shanika Johnson will stop Metcalf.
I think it's a good fight. It's a good fight. That one. Shanika Johnson's a beast, man.
Metcalf's knocking on. She's in her mid-40s, I think.
Yeah, Metcalf is getting on, but yeah, it'd be a good fight. Right, let's go to the ring card. Conscious of time. Hamzah Sheeraz against Edgar Berlanga, the headliner. You've got Shakur finally fighting Zepeda. Matthias against Puello, which is a really good fight for the WBC 140-pound title. Dalton Smith will randomly start fighting for the WBA titles if Matthias knocks out Puello on Saturday night. And then, of course, David Morrell against Katiev, which I think will be fight of the night. I'll throw it over to both of you individually. If you want to, you don't necessarily have to go down the card. Just tell me your thoughts on the ring card.
I think it's a risky fight for Sheeraz. I really do. I think him...
Yes, Dave.
I've got a feeling he'll pull away early. I think he'll box the head off Berlanga, but I worry for him down the stretch.
See, I'm the other way around, Jay. I think Berlanga's dangerous early, really dangerous, but the longer it goes, I think Sheeraz will use his technique. You know, he's better boxing.
Okay. I mean, I'm picking Sheeraz. I think Sheeraz will get the win. I just think it's a risky one, and I think he could get... he might have to get up off the canvas to get the win. It's going to be his toughest fight, way tougher than Adama's. And I know he didn't lose, but he did. He lost the Adama's fight, whatever way you want to sugarcoat it. But look, it shows bravery. It shows that his team are also confident in his ability to be a champion at 168. I would have liked to have seen him bedded into the division before going straight in at the top. But look, the top's... Am I going to be dismissive of the top? The top's not as good as what it could have been and has been. So he's probably, they know more than I do. I'm on the outside looking in. But I do think, that, and I also think that Shakur's going to give Zepeda a boxing lesson. I think we'll see the best of Shakur on Saturday night. Yeah,
I think Zepeda's tailor-made for him. I honestly do. But look, who am I to say anything? I don't want to be accused of anything. Anyway, Liam, go on, mate. Give us your thoughts on
look, it's difficult to know what to look. It's a good card on paper, but it's more of a trade card. I think that's the fair thing to say. It's a trade card being given the ring treatment. So again, is it a pay-per-view card? How many times have we said this year? No, it's not a pay-per-view card, but unfortunately, with Turkey, you get pay-per-views. It's almost a guarantee. As soon as you see Ring or Riyadh Season put on a fight, you know there's going to be a pay-per-view cost attached. Well, you kind of swallow that at this point. It's an intriguing main event. Look, Hamzah, after what happened with him in February, could have decided to move up to 168. Let's say, look, Adama's proved I'm not ready for world level, and he could have decided he wanted to go domestic Commonwealth at 168. He would have bulldozed his way through it, but he could have decided to do that just to get his confidence back up. So actually, it's fair play to him for saying, no, I'll go up to 168 and I'll go and fight a guy that boxed Canelo a year ago. That's what he's doing, in effect. You've got to give him a lot of credit. It's just about what version of Berlanga turns up, kind of similar to what you boys have said. I think he's dangerous early, Berlanga. But if he gets behind, if Sheeraz is able to bully him, which he might, which is possible because we've seen Hamzah do it before, then is Berlanga going to be interested? Will it become a bit like the Canelo fight where he's happy to see his way to the final bell rather than go out on his back, if that makes sense? After Canelo knocked him down, he lost all interest in engaging, didn't he? And was just happy to see out the 12 round.
Was it Berlanga or Caleb Plant that asked Canelo if he were good like as he were getting his ass.
Oh,
kicked.
Plan.
Oh, I thought it was Berlanga. I'm good at it.
Yeah. See, Dave's with you,
Yeah.
Jay. Dave's with you. He sees it down the stretch as well. I honestly think that the longer it goes, it favours Hamzah.
It depends what
again,
if Berlanga can take something out of him early, what it takes out of Hamzah to get late. Sorry, Liam.
I know Berlanga won his last fight, but how overweight was he? Like, I know he won that fight in the first round, but how much did he miss the 168 limit by? That's what I mean. If he's, he looks tight on the scales, if we see him having to strip down and have a towel put in front of him, then you start asking questions about how disciplined has he been in the build-up. If he looks ripped to shreds, makes the weight as comfortable as a fighter can make weight, then you're in for a fight. Shakur and Zepeda, look, we've been teased with this for a long time, and we know why we've been teased from here. Oscar's got very few golden eggs left, and he knows another one's about to not bite the dust because Zepeda can come again, but lose his own, definitely. This is, as Jay's just said, light work.
Liam, the math doesn't always math, but Zepeda's just gone 24 rounds with Tevin Farmer in life and deaths, and Kid Austin's just annihilated him in a round. Now, I'm not saying that always means that, it doesn't. We know it doesn't. We've seen it a million times, but it doesn't look great.
Oh, here he is, picking on the Latino fighter.
I was going to say, mate, what is your problem, mate? What is your problem?
Give it a rest, will you?
I just think, regardless of Zepeda having life and death with old Tevin, Shakur's just a much superior boxer, and when he wants to turn up and when he wants to put it on, he tends to do it, doesn't he? And Shakur kind of knows the position he's in at the moment. Turkey's, he's got the hand of Turkey at the moment. He had the fight with Josh Padley. Yes, it was meant to be Kid Austin, but it ended up being Josh Padley. He got a win. He's now been given this opportunity. He knows if he stinks out on Flushing Meadows on Saturday night, he's going to Eddie Wright. Where are we going in America rather than moving on?
No Tom and Jerry. No Tom and Jerry. There's a ring that
shrinks after every round. He's going to be standing on each other's toes. Look, he'll turn up and deliver for me.
That is ridiculous. Turkey is ridiculous.
No, it's too much. We can mute Sam now because we're going to talk about Bam Rodriguez. I'm going to put a cheeky little bet on that Bam loses because he's got half an eye on another fight.
Cafu's no more.
That's next week. Yeah, that's next weekend, isn't it?
It is, but I'm just saying he's been very vocal about this next fight against
Puma Martinez. He's fighting in Riyadh. We'll talk about that card in a bit. And Luca makes a good point. Like Canelo Crawford's on Netflix, and we're expected to pay the DAZN pay-per-view for the rest of these Ring Magazine cards. You know what I mean? And agree with Dave 100% on that as well.
I will say that Matisse could be down on the cards by 8-9 rounds and then come and absolutely starch Puello. That's a real possibility. He came close to doing it against Liam Parro, didn't he, when he was getting beat in Puerto Rico last year? But Parro was just invasive.
Puello's good, but he's beatable.
Puello's slow, mate. Puello doesn't have the movement to get in and out. He plants his feet, doesn't he? Which is why Matisse could be 8, 9, 10 rounds down. But if he lands one punch, and that's what he'll do, because like we say, Puello isn't a slick mover. He plants his feet, but you'd favour Puello.
It was a tough fight with Sandor
Martin. He didn't look good against Sandor. Didn't look good against Sandor Martin on the Javante card. But look, mate, these Ring Magazine cards tend to bring out the best in certain fighters, and I think we'll see the best of Shakur, and I think we're going to see the best of flipping hell. Not Mateus, or Puello as well. Sorry, I think we're going to see the best of Puello as well. I went completely blank then. I think he'll deliver, and then we'll get Dalton Smith probably having to go over to.
I don't think Dalton Smith will fancy any of Subriel Matias if he wins. Morel against Katiev is going to kick off. Well, I think soon he's kicking off the card actually, but of the big fights, Katiev is a proper and fair play to Morel. He's just come off the Benavidez fight, and it was a good performance. He was just
outgunned.
Benavidez more seasoned. He's just a bit more seasoned and knew a bit too much for him in the end down the stretch, but. He's got a tough fight against Katiev. I think that could steal the show.
I agree.
Potential for it too, mate. But there won't be eyeballs on it, unfortunately, as we said, because it's a trade card and ticket sales. There's a chance there'll just be Eddie Hearn, Turkey, Frank Warren, and broadcasters in there. Unfortunately, when Morel's fighting.
Don't forget Rick Rain or whatever his name is.
Rick Rain. But that's the truth, mate. Unfortunately, because this card doesn't have the star name value. There's every chance Morel is like a glorified sparring session. It's going to be a fantastic fight and could well be fighting like because Morel only knows one way to fight. And that way just wasn't quite enough against someone like Benavidez that's slightly more seasoned. But coming back down to more of a fringe world level, you'd expect to see the best of Dave Morel again, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You would think so. Jams has got the chat going in here. He's mentioned Puma Martinez, who will fight Bam Rodriguez should he get through Cafu next week. But let's talk about the November 16th card. Then the headliner will be Benavidez against Anthony Yarde, defending his WBC light heavyweight championship. Of course, you've got the unification should Bam get through Cafu next week with Puma Martinez. That's a very good fight on paper. He just beat Ioka for a second time. Sam Noakes against Abdullah Mason for the the vacant WBO lightweight championship after Keyshawn Davis's nightmare the other week. And then Devin Haney's challenging Brian Norman Jr. at 147 for the WBO championship of the world. I agree with Chams. I think that's a tough night's work for Haney, but look, he's taking it. Good luck to Sam Noakes versus Abdullah Mason. Yeah, look, Sam Noakes can bang. What do you think of the card, boys?
This is what a card like this should look like. Unfortunately, this is, not unfortunately, fortunately, this is what a card that's a Ring Magazine card should look like. If you want to complain about Saturdays being a bit more of a trade card, this one in November has something for everyone. It's got your name values in terms of Devin Haney. It's got your world champions that excite in terms of Benavidez, and obviously unification with Bam, who's being built nicely into a household name by Matchroom in America, probably one of their biggest success stories. The enigma of Anthony Yarde's career goes on. It's either Kovalev, Lyndon Arthur. Now you can add Benavidez to that list, or TBA's in the fight week. He's incredible. The career he's got. Look, I'm gutted it's not Callum Smith, as we know the WBC ordered it, and we know that's what people were pushing for. I'm gutted Callum's not getting a shot because I give him more of a chance than I give Anthony Yarde, but it's a cracking card, mate. And look, we're sitting here talking about it in July. We've just got to wait to November the 16th, is it for it? Something like that?
November the 16th, indeed. PJ Public Shows in the house. Thanks for, sorry, Jam said only in Riyadh though, Liam. Well, why not on the UK cards?
Money talks, mate. As we've said a lot in the last 12 months, money talks, and unfortunately, Abdullah Mason against Sam Noakes would have been one of those fights 5-6 years ago, like when we got Tank Davis over here, where you get the American superstar coming over to build their name. But unfortunately now, these fights happen in Riyadh. Why is Moses Atalma and Dillian White in Riyadh in a month's time? Because of Turkey, because of the money. It's unfortunately the way it is, mate. Look, I'm not going to complain too much because we're getting to see the fights, but it is a shame because the schedule for the second half of the year in the UK looks poor. What you've
Matchroom have got one show schedule currently.
Yeah, that's what I mean. After Ghana Belotti, you've got for Queensbury, you've got Rafferty and Chamberlain, and then you've got nothing scheduled for them either. The second half of the year in the UK is in danger of being
dire.
Yeah,
dire.
Incredibly dire, especially as we don't know what's going on with Boxer and where they're going to end up. Wasserman, might remember they have a Channel 5 contract in October, November. We might get a bit of Friday night action from them. It's worrying times on the domestic front, definitely.
Yeah. Any bets, boys, for Friday? PJ's asked for on the Taylor Serrano card. Jay, any interest there?
Nah, I don't gamble anymore. I'm retired. Until my football bets come in tonight.
Oh dear, I love it. Nothing yet.
Not yet. I'm still dining out off the Jazza Dickens win last week.
Mate, you've got another couple of weeks of that, mate. That's phenomenal.
Big. He's got the Crocker Donovan rematch coming soon.
Show me the money.
Dave, with your mate Devin Wilson. Yeah, Devin Wilson. That'll be on the next match.
I think Norman's going to have too much pressure for him to be allowed to just box off the
Norman's
jab.
left hook's filthy.
I think he'll be able to get through him, and I think he'll dismantle him very similar to what Ryan Garcia did. Yeah.
Lions in the camp. Don't forget about that one, Jay. Molly McCann signed to Matchroom. I saw that. Yeah, I don't think she's got much of a chance of belt.
I mean, what's she going to do? 118 to 120, 122?
126, she said. 118 to 126. Yeah.
She can bang. She can box. Look, she'll win a British title. She'll get a world title shot. She's got the brand, so she'll get the fights.
They could probably maneuver it to a belt
Absolutely.
easily.
I mean, who's the champion at 118?
I've no idea. I know that Scotney's super bantamweight champion. So he's got a draw DQ in every fight. Yeah, it is with a 10.
Sorry, how long you got left on your mortgage, Luca? Sorry, just checking. Mine's paid off, kid. Don't worry about my bets.
Oh, I love it. Cheers, Paddy Donovan.
Joking. Cheers, Paddy.
The fights are the main thing. The cards.
I've got it here.
I think the bar on the card's pathetic in my opinion.
It's rubbish. It's rubbish.
And so is Bellotti Garner. I saw that one earlier. James Alois Jr.'s on it, but.
That Bellotti Garner card was perfect to be a bit of a summer banger from Queensbury, and unfortunately,
it was. It's disappointing, man.
Jams, you'll win about 13 pence on a £20 bet on that, mate. I would not waste your 20 quid, pal.
Eddie signs Molling. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, he's not interested in women's boxing.
There's about 10 kilos in weight difference at them two. Molly and Cyborg are not fighting each other. Cyborg's way too big for Molly. Where they're going to fight? Cyborg can't get below 140. At a push, she'd get to 135. Molly can't fight at 135. She's not even going to go up to 130, so I don't see that fight happening, boys. I don't.
Yeah.
You are seeing the champions to her, mate. It's Sharika Johnson, Shane Metcalf, and Deanne Forsland.
Have you seen where I live, Luca? Don't worry about Cotswold. You seen where I live? My house is all right. It's all right.
So Jay's going for his mortgage. I'm just trying to stay on.
I haven't got a mortgage.
Lack of.
Yeah.
But no, I'm only
Any
joking.
mortgage advisors that want to sponsor the pod, don't worry about it.
We don't need it.
Go on, Liam,
Just saying the champions at this weight class, so we're going to have another belt unified this weekend. WBA is Sharika Johnson, IBF is Metcalf, so they'll be unified this weekend, and WBC and WBO is with Forsland, the Danish fighters. So
they could get one of those fights, couldn't they, over here?
They could, yeah, but I don't know if I'd fancy Molly against any of them, if I'm being really honest.
No. Maybe if she could choke him out.
Metcalf, maybe. I don't rate Metcalf. I know they're high on her. I'm sorry, I don't see it. I just don't rate her. I think she gets away with a lot.
Sorry, mate. If Metcalf wins on Friday night, that's the route to go, definitely.
Yeah, I think she gets away with being long and rangy at the weight, but I think Molly will walk through that.
Love it, Jam.
Molly will walk.
Yeah, one more, boys. Eubank Ben 2 been announced in the last week or so.
Luca, inbox me, brother. I'm after the rent to buy. Buy to let.
He's a jack of all trades, Luca is.
Let's go.
Sorry, Eubank Ben 2, September the 20th in London. I think
it's not mine, Jams. Contrary to.
Oh dear, JFT on fire. What do we reckon, boys? Same rehydration and all that has been called, but look, it's 2 months out ish, 10 weeks, something like that. I don't know. Are they going to do a kickoff presser or like what's the deal?
Don't know. I'm gutted that they're doing it under the same terms because I think it took a lot away from the fight. It took a lot away from Eubank. I believe that is the only way of getting him on par because I think Eubank's way too big if he's allowed to hydrate properly, and I think he possibly would have stopped. Ben, I don't see the fight going any different to the first one. Less scrappy maybe, but I see the same result.
Agree. Mate, completely agree. We said it, didn't we? Me and you spoken about this, Jay, when it was first announced. The reason they said Wembley or Spurs is Ring, Turkey, Eddie, etc. wanted to see how big the announcement, and what the buzz was around the announcement. It will go to Spurs again. 75,000 in Wembley next weekend might feel a bit empty compared to how it's been recently, so there's no way they're going to want to risk the Ben Eubank rematch there. Spurs is the perfect setting for it. We saw that last time. Even though it wasn't at capacity, it still generated a good atmosphere. But it's just a shame that you got to have the same clauses in it. Look, Eubank Jr., regardless of how he lost the weight, ended up in such a bad way. He was in hospital for 72 hours after the fight.
Yeah.
That's more like, look, if it's happened once, there's every chance it could happen again. And I don't know how comfortable I am with that happening again. They've got to level the playing field. I said they've got to level the playing field for Conor Benn. That's why they're doing it, to level the playing field for Conor Benn. But when it's to that much a detriment of another fighter's health that they are in that much trouble afterwards, it doesn't sit right with me. I would have thought certain people would have seen it happen after the first fight and made sure it doesn't happen again. But hey, money talks, as we've spoken about enough, and the money's big enough. So
he's going to iron him out this time. He's going to iron him out.
Get on it in.
He couldn't iron a shirt, the dickhead. Shut up.
And on that note, I think I'll do for today's show, because we're going to start talking about ironing again.
My favourite.
Jams at Red Corner, Luca, David Ropedo. Yeah. PJ the Puppet Show. Thank you guys, DJ Pat, Yems, and anybody I've missed for this evening. Thanks for the interaction.
Cheers,
as always,
guys.
Jay,
Thank
Liam.
you.
Been a pleasure. Rest of the week, I heard Liam's got a good guest on his Fight Night Pick show over on JFT this week, so don't forget to check that one out. Special edition, I heard. Straight Talk with the Boys will be back on Thursday. We'll probably get some picks out on here for the first time in a while for a big weekend of boxing. We'll do Taylor, Serrano, Berlanga, and Stevenson, Zepeda, something like that tomorrow night. And then watch-alongs this weekend. Katie Taylor, Serrano 3, of course. We'll cover some of the Ring 3 card as well on Saturday night. And cheers, Pat. Top man as always. Thanks, everybody, for joining
guys.
us. See you for